The way I thought about safety changed on April 16th, 2007. See, before April 16th, I was a 1 on this scale. I was naive, unaware, and took my safety for granted everywhere I went. On April 16th, I flipped. I became a 5. I became hypervigilant, obsessive, and thought about my safety 24/7. Today, I'm a 3. I'm prepared. I have a plan for the places I am most often, but I'm not thinking about my safety all the time, and I'm not thinking about it none of the time. On April 16th, 2007, I was sitting in computer science class when I heard gunshots from across the hall. Quick actions from those in my class resulted in a barricade. We used a card table and desk and were able to prevent the shooter from entering despite his multiple attempts. I remember when law enforcement came to rescue us. I thought it was going to be this big bear hug and they were going to carry me out to safety. It couldn't have been farther from that. It was tense. They were yelling at us to put our hands up and leave everything. 24 hours later, our campus was overtaken by the media. And pockets like this were popping up all over our campus with cards and flowers from across the nation. Prior to April 16th, I never thought about what a real emergency would look like. Naively, I thought it would go just like this, just like we practiced. Everyone on the sidewalk, single file line, and the road cleared for first responders. But emergencies actually look like this. They're chaotic, there's confusion. I like to compare them to a pop quiz in school when the teacher says pencils out and books away. Because the best you have in an actual emergency is what you have memorized. There's no time to go find the emergency plans binders. That's why it's so important to educate civilians on the different options they have during an active shooter event to make actionable decisions and keep themselves safe. On the surface, this is avoid, deny, defend. Avoid the shooter by running away, deny the shooter entry to your classroom or workplace by locking the door, and defend yourself if you're in close proximity to the shooter. However, it's important to go beyond avoid, deny, defend, and discuss different scenarios. Through discussion, individuals can develop personal plans for action based on their age and capabilities. Some solutions are simple, like locks on doors, but even locks on doors can get complex. Other solutions are complex in nature, like access control. How do we prevent perpetrators from entering our schools, businesses, places of worship, and places of entertainment? Solutions to prevent active shooter receive a lot of attention in the news and social media, but we can't forget about crisis recovery. Each shooting that happens, as horrific as each one is, we can learn something from. What did individuals do to protect themselves during the shooting? What unfolded after the shooting ended? And how were students reunified with their families, and how were parents of the deceased and injured told? These lessons are important to share with one another. After a mass shooting, it so often becomes this political debate, gun policy versus mental health reform. And as a society, we get so wrapped up in the politics that we forget there are so many quick wins we can do now to be better prepared. Things like door safety and access control, threat assessment teams, and mass emergency notification, active shooter training, and survivor support groups. The list goes on. Admitting that our schools and workplaces and communities are vulnerable to an active shooter event allows us to have an honest conversation about safety. This conversation and change of mindset allows us to improve our plans for personal safety, emergency response, and crisis recovery. Most importantly, we can begin training students, parents, teachers, and community members before it's too late.